Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spring 2021 Virtual Undergraduate Forum. We are so excited to showcase the numerous talents today and celebrate our community as the world starts to slowly open up once again. Thank you to everyone who submitted a video. This showcase wouldn't have been possible without your work. Tonight, we will be featuring classical guitar, ICAM, classical voice, and spoken word poetry. As always, we would like to give our thanks to Dr. Anthony Burr for your support and promotion, Sherry Ann for putting our posters together, and Jessica C. Flores for getting the logistics of the forum together. Well, without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The world is closing in. Young boy dream of being grown. Grown men just wanna be reborn. To each his own. Young boy scared to find a home. Singing we don't wanna be alone. It's time to get gone. As if the world is closing in. This ain't the sky, it's just a remnant. This ain't a dream, it's just a pigment of my imagination.
He said he'll paint an acrylic universe on his ceiling, then fill it with stars and angelic planets that paw through the darkest of matter. What color is brilliance? What color are dreams? What shape is they matter? Please, how do I shape them to matter? Paint them just out of reach, above where my pillow sits. Nothing fancy about it. He would gladly let paint drip off the canvas. So when it's 3 in the AM, I stare and blank of all feeling. He opens wide till he tastes it.
The walls are closing in, and I see no way out of here. Waiting on this ground to move, but it appears as if the world is closing in. This ain't the sky, it's just a remnant. This ain't a dream, it's just a pigment of my Grown men just wanna be reborn, to each his own. Gone, gone, gone. We color in chrome, chrome, chrome. Young boys scared to find a home, singing we don't wanna be alone. It's time to get gone, 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 and find a new song to sing.
taste eternal joy. Let me be a grain of sand, let me be a grain of sand in heaven's light, and I shall taste eternal joy.
Ink smears on the side of my palm, a continuous flow, pen on paper, idea maker in the walls of my mind. I get in the zone. I write like I'm running out of time. Rhythm in words keep me aligned. Rhythm in verse play in my mind. Scribbles of ink flow from the sky. Onto a sheet, scrap, screen, or paper. Anything will do. I denotate, investigate, elaborate my moods. I'm never quite through. So my pen bleeds from its last vein of darkened blue. I'm writing down every thought and word I think I can use. So, if storms take away the house I live in and pray, I'm loading myself up with pens, keeping them all at bay. Because pens are power with prose, perspectives, magnified with a looking glass, real close. If I was missing the fountain of ink or the ballpoint nib, I might run extinct, quenched from the ocean of words, the waves of spirit in my head. Because from think to ink to pad, writing gets me looser than any of my kinks or any new fad. From think to ink to pad, I draw my creativity wherever it's at. From think to ink to pad is my degree of authenticity with a little bit of showmanship. From think to ink to pad is my willingness to show myself and to prove my shoulder with a chip on it. Because pen and paper can tell a story all by itself. From tall tales to legends to mythology, it's all written down. The storyline interweaves with history, history is infused with mystery, and the artfulness contains boundlessness if we listen closely to its soliloquy. Pen and paper. The canvas and the ink chamber, the cave walls and the bright dyes of cherry, the fluorescent screen and cursor blinking, whatever you call it, whatever you use, it's filled with its own spirit, it's part of the muse, its own intrinsic imagination, and its own feeling. Because pen and paper can tell a story all by itself. When I let it, I surprise myself. When I expect it, I criticize myself. When I forget it, I find myself. Is one place you have always wanted to go? Asking myself this question after 15 months of being quarantined at home is a daunting question. I mean, do I swing for the fences? A night in the Greenland glaciers staring at constellations, or a summer stay in Rome? Will the borders be open? Will it be safe? Will I be broke? Will it be perfect? Will I ever want to return home? It's the classic paradox of Wanderlust. Scared of the travels that turn us on, afraid that if I set that next ambitious goal, the next step I take will be in the wrong direction. Even my thought process about things in the right or wrong direction, so Western. I need more Eastern. I need more seeing first. I need more non-judgmentalist and believing in my own dreams and words. These fears, these doubts, these dreads are natural, yet so controlling. They close off my imagination, make me feel alone. They impose their narrow vision on an already vision-impaired Asian, and they stunt my growth. I'm eager to take new risks. I don't want to risk going too far. Will I ever know the adventurous bliss of traveling if I keep pulling back my own arm? Because I cannot expect to know it all before I begin. Just like the first time I was behind my first set of rims. The freeway stretched so far, the beach seemed like an odyssey of a lifetime. The everyday drive for a highway trucker was my claim to freedom in a 2001 Toyota Avalon hand-me-down. And the residual fear from COVID and quarantine does not deserve our driver's seat. We can reclaim our confidence if we set the intention to change the trajectory consciously. So, if I had a choice and a chance for one adventure, one change of scenery, one big story of my lifetime in the next 3 months, I would fly to Japan. Camera in my hand, a look and a book bag, my favorite pen, and a couple thousand yen. Strolling down Tokyo streets, browsing neon vending machines, slurping up ramen, eating at dive bars, and enjoying fresh sashimi, making trips to bonsai gardens, admiring the twisting trees that are older than me, and soaking culture up, looking with fresh eyes, well, what life could be in a different country in the same summer season. I used to make up excuses, reasons for not pursuing it, and there's more reasons now than ever. School, work, risk, COVID, but I recognize I have a dream, and it looks like I can already be doing it. I'm a young guy, fit and active with both doses, so I think I might as well dream and try than to let my dreams die, because I'll never have a guarantee on today or tomorrow, only in this moment. I try to live in a way that recycles my joy and embraces my sorrow, because the human experience is both parts, the raw emotions and how we use them to set our wishes into motion. I hope I can cross this ocean, not tomorrow, but in the present moment. Japan, 2021! Ah! I love parks in the sunrise and in the sunset. It's a nice green palace and a respite from the concrete forest. When my body walks under the trees, it's shaded by the leaves, and I feel like I can see from their uppermost branches where the wind will never cease. It makes me feel infinite, alive, complete, and free. In the springtime, pink flowers bloom from the buds of winter, and they remind me of my days of innocence. In the springtime, green towers tower above city skylines, and they remind me of nature's magnificence. There's a beautiful indifference to nature, a cycle of birth and rebirth. It's natural, from storms to earthquakes to twisters, but nature to me is also the contained forests we have in our cities. They stay green from winter to summer to spring to fall, and the parks keep legacies of trees and their ancestors. I love to be amidst the faux forest because I've known it since I was a child. And one day, I'll explore their family line in the Yosemites, the Rockies, or the Sierras. But until then, I'll remain content with the small little canopies in my beautiful city, so greened, tamed, trimmed, and contained in its captivity. Maybe trees have feelings, and they react when we put them in parks, like how we put animals in a zoo. But whenever I walk through a park, I just appreciate them and thank them for all they do. I mean, they remind me of when I could just be a child on a swing, when I could just live in the present moment and not worry about a thing. The playful nostalgia from parks marks me growing up from being a young child into a young man who's finding his own way of being. The playful nostalgia from parks marks my mission to keep smiling, to share joy, and to experience life away from a screen. So, yes, I have an affinity for trees. I mean, I grew up with digital displays and sitting in my car seat observing concrete gray freeways, so my eyes love to feast on a little bit of green. I mean, we're in a generation where it's possible to go a whole week without seeing a tree, a whole year without reading a tree, a whole lifetime without planting a tree, but not an hour without seeing a goddamn screen. And I'm just trying to get to the bottom of what this all means, because we all have a sapling. What will we choose to plant? A perfect life on the screen, or a fulfilling life from sunrise to sunset just because of who we are being? But until then, I'm gonna be chilling in a park with my picnic blanket laid down and my eyes captivated by the scene. Good?
Good.
All right. Celebrate life if you've been to rock bottom. That just means you're headed north. Have compassion for your friend, family, or neighbor next door, because everyone has a life as complicated as yours. We've all got strife, grief, and our own slew of flaws, different beliefs, dogmas, religions, and gods, and that doesn't exempt us from karma. Bad decisions or what we've done wrong, it just means we should lend a tolerant hand when we see somebody else's problems. Try to be the person you needed when you faced your darkest night. Help someone off the asphalt and their own faults and set them right. Give them empathy with an absence of ego and pride, and help them endure their eclipse until they foster their spark into a wildfire. Because faith starts out faint until it's worldwide, and your higher state of mind is a staircase you can climb when you're at the very bottom. That just means you can be filled up with so much light. So rise up and climb it until you're out of breath and you form a smile. Because yesterday, you looked in the mirror and all you saw was fear. But when you peered in it today, you saw a glimmer you haven't seen in a while. It was something you knew when you were pure, when you were just a little child, before your first tears from a broken heart, or first years working a 9 to 5. When you reconnect with that light, you can let go of your manic grip of the wheel. That's when God steers, and your prayers and hopes and dreams are in front of you, not in the rear view mirror. So when you contemplate where you are in life today, know that rock bottom is a lesson and a teacher and a saint. Because without your lowest moment, you wouldn't have a heart that knows how to love someone that's broken. And everyone is shattered in their own beautiful ways. It's like Japanese kintsugi, where the cracks are filled with gold and we celebrate what we overcame without the shame of hiding it away, wearing a mask to hide the scars underneath our skin. We can embrace our flaws because we all got them. And that is perfectly okay. You are beautiful as you are, ripped, rewoven, and stained. Everyone is beautiful in their own cryptic way. There's no need to wait to celebrate life today. We are alive right here and now, and we can choose how to spend it. We are alive right here and now. We have been through some challenges. We are alive right here and now, and we can continue it. There have been 100 billion humans who have seen the sun rise, but did not get to see it today. If you've been to rock bottom, and you're still breathing oxygen, that just means you're headed God's way. My deepest fear was the fear of being alone, lonely, excluded, isolated. Now, my greatest gift is my ability to create community. When I reflect on what it means to be an Asian American performer, I think of high school, where I was bullied and excluded from the cliques in my choir. Through my first and second year, I had no voice. I was uncool. I was seen as the very definition of try hard. It all changed one day when I held the microphone center stage in a high school-wide concert. It was the first time I felt heard and understood as my compassionate, ambitious, and enthusiastic self. The crowd was just a Gaussian blur from the stage lights, and every moment I rocked the mic was spiked with adrenaline and uncertainty. In my quarantine, I have been reflecting on how times current feel like times past. The lowest moments I have faced, from being the high school ragdoll to college rejection calls from clubs I longed to join, dawned a completely renewed purpose as I looked back with judgeless, compassionate eyes. Something I realized was that my lowest moments were preambles to tremendous growth. Growth that happened when I felt dedicated towards a greater purpose. In those times of hopelessness, I became life's apprentice. In hindsight, the rush I felt on this stage has always been a surge of purpose because I give voice to my past self and all the kids, teens, and adults who know what it feels like to be silenced, what it feels like to not have a place, what it feels like to be excluded. My mission in life is to perform, to include, and to inspire others to do their version of the same. Looking at the grander state of the world, in all its opportunities and ugliness, I realized something about my Chinese-Vietnamese identity. In many ways, I am still that young, bullied, silenced kid, not of my own doing this time, but in the circumstances of the world. This time, though, I wasn't alone, and I wasn't the only victim. It was my mom and dad, who look like immigrants and speak their native tongues. It was my childhood friends, who walked down city streets to countless glares or catcalls. It was every Asian Pacific Islander who had lost a loved one, been attacked, or been recited to with racial slurs. I realized that many of us are unaware of how to transform for the better when we suffer. Many stifle their emotions and choose not to feel, not to love, not to be vulnerable. Many try to conceal by hiding behind material wealth or their clothes that wrap around their wounds so tightly they never get to heal. Many ignore it all and focus on their own selfish advancement while their brothers and sisters, not in blood but in heritage, suffer. I demand myself to do the opposite. I demand my own courage to act in spite of the fears and hatreds that the bullies of this world throw at me and every single person in my community. I have overcome this before on an individual level, and I am overcoming it now in the same way, this time on a bigger stage through performance. Asian Pacific Islanders are underrepresented in our media, our history books, and our performing arts spaces. This realization came in tandem with the long eclipse of COVID-19 and quarantine. Through my dread of what the future held or what it could withhold from me in my community, I had an idea. An idea that resolved my deepest anguish of loneliness. An idea that connected everyone who experienced it to a bigger purpose. An idea that made performance and celebrating the Asian American identity as one and the same. I decided in December of 2020 to host my first annual charity livestream featuring Asian American musicians, activists, and artists to celebrate our heritage and our presence in creative spaces by performing, sharing stories, and speaking to our personal experiences. This initiative defied two status quos.
First, I brought to light that despite our communal suffering, we can be connected now more than ever, and that the present moment was the perfect time to try. Second, I declared a radical call for Asian American representation in artistic spaces. This took an investment of my time, money, and courage, and as a first-generation college student, because of it, it was all worth it. First came the search for the charity. My expectations for raising money had to align with my values of creating community with sustained change. When I found the East-West Players, the nation's premier Asian American and person of color theater, I knew I found the right place. Based in LA, just a car ride away from where I grew up, their youth programs were the focus of my efforts, where each dollar raised would be matched by the board of directors to sustain and foster the next generation of Asian American performers in the domain of music, theater, and acting. The last day of my finals week, I faced my camera to perform, share stories, and create art with my fellow Asian American creatives. On New Year's morning of 2021, after a long month of campaigning, I opened my GoFundMe, my mouth gaping to confront a number I thought unimaginable as it loomed in an illuminating dark green font. $1,500. 45 donors. The pride in my heart swelled as my smile was inflated by my helium-filled cheeks. We had contributed to the collective voices of our Asian American brothers and sisters by investing our united efforts into the new generation through celebrating our voice, our heritage, and our creativity. What I realized on a deeper level was that my greatest fears of isolation and loneliness have allowed me the perspective and compassion in my voice as a performer and activist to create community. My initiative to gather in unity to and act in charity led to an advancement in our communal voice. Now we know that regardless of dire circumstances, we have a choice. We can be the change makers. We can be the beam of light during the eclipse. We can be the beacons we have been waiting for. When I look at life from where we are now, April of 2021, the eclipse of quarantine breaking into a new dawn and age, I feel hope. Yet, a strain of fear, doubt, and uncertainty at the ceaseless, senseless violence still remains. I feel like I'm moments away from breaking on a stage of performance, my whole body buzzing like an electric pulse through a microphone. In these times, I believe I have a stage available to me 24 hours a day continuously, where the Gaussian blur is permanently painted onto my vision, and every effort I make honors the past versions of myself and every single person whose hand has lifted me up and pushed me forward. The beauty of life is that every single adversity holds the seed of opportunity, oftentimes handfuls of seeds. Being bullied showed me that I can treat others kindly. Stifling my voice to please others made me discover the power of embracing my truth. Being alone, feeling separate and different made me reflect and realize I can be more considerate. And losing ties to my higher state of mind has made me imagine that I have the power to connect, create, and alchemize. My deepest fear was the fear of being alone, lonely, excluded, isolated. Now, my greatest gift is my ability to create community.